సాయి వాళ్ళు
मंगल चरणा गजानना
मंगल चरणा गजानना
मंगल चरणा गजानना
मंगल चरणा गजानना
गजवदना शुभानना
गजवदना शुभानना
गजवदना शुभानना
गजवदना शुभानना
मंगल चरणा गजानना
मंगल चरणा गजानना
विद्यादायक बुद्धिप्रदायक
विद्यादायक बुद्धिप्रदायक
विद्यादायक बुद्धिप्रदायक
विद्यादायक बुद्धिप्रदायक
गौरी तनया गजानना
गौरी तनया गजानना
गौरी तनया गजानना
गौरी तनया गजानना
मंगल चरणा गजानना
मंगल चरणा गजानना
गजवदना शुभानना
गजवदना शुभानना
मंगल चरणा गजानना
मंगल चरणा गजानना
विद्यादायक बुद्धिप्रदायक
विद्यादायक बुद्धिप्रदायक
गौरी तनया गजानना
गौरी तनया गजानना
गौरी तनया गजानना
गौरी तनया गजानना
मंगल चरणा गजानना
Most loving and prayerful pranams at the divine lotus feet of our beloved Bhagwan. Pray to Bhagwan to be with us and guide us at every step. Prayerfully seek divine permission for this session, permission and blessing for this session. Revered Nimish Sir, All India President of Sathya Sai Seva Organization India, respected members of the legal fraternity, sisters and brothers, loving Sairam to all of you. Recently, Sathya Sai Seva Organization is giving importance to outreach programs with a purpose of sharing Swami's divine messages and the activities of the organization. With Bhagwan's grace, we could start such session for teachers and doctors. And with Bhagwan's grace today, our Reverend All India President is inaugurating Sai Neethi, which is the forum of lawyers under Sathya Sai Seva organization. It is an honor and privilege to welcome and introduce our Reverend All India President. Nimish sir is the national head of Sathya Sai Seva organization India. Apart from that, sir is the vice chairman of Sri Sathya Sai Global Council, which coordinates the entire work of Sathya Sai Seva organization all over the world. On the professional side, sir is a very renowned, eminent lawyer, and sir owns the legal firm Pandya and Company. Pandya Juris serves many renowned organizations, both domestic and international corporations. One of the most beautiful statements sir often reminds us is this: all the active work officers of the organization. Sir used to tell us, be happy always, because only happy people can make others happy. On behalf of all of you, on behalf of Sathya Sai Seva organization South Zone, we welcome our Revered All India President to this session and request sir to inaugurate the Lawyers Forum, namely Sai Neethi, and to bless us with sir's inaugural address. Thank you. Jai Sai Ram. Sri Nimish Pandya sir.
Om Shri Sai Ram. Mukundan sir, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Great, super. Offering my most humble salutations at the divine lotus feet of Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai Baba, my guru, my mentor, and to whom I owe everything. I offer my obeisance to him, and I pray to him to preside over this first inaugural session of Sai Neethi and bless us all with good thought, good words, and good actions. And I am extremely grateful to my colleague, Professor Mukundan, for reviving this Sai Neethi, which I know he had started years ago from Kerala. And it was something that took off very well. And I remember Kerala and all the learned judges of the Kerala High Court, and many of them were an integral part of this satsang that Professor Mukundan started many, many years ago. And in fact, coming to think of it, I think this is the right step in the right direction. From the introduction that Professor Mukundan gave about me, I'm sure the first question that comes in your mind is, when I'm doing so much work in the Sai organization, when do I practice, okay? Or am I practicing at all? But I think the beautiful part of my experience with being in the Sanitya of Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai Baba has been that this has never been a challenge for me, because I think Bhagwan very rightfully mentioned to me when I was a young lawyer, when I just passed off maybe 4.5, 5 decades ago, that I was a very unwilling lawyer, student to become a lawyer. I had great grandiose plans for other careers in my life. But I happened to be from a family of lawyers. My father was a very senior lawyer in the Bombay High Court. And this war started between my father and myself, with Bhagwan as the arbitrator, about this whole issue and the case which came to the Divine Court, whether I was right in not becoming a lawyer or my father was right in ensuring that I do become a lawyer. So obviously, when there is an arbitrator like Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai Baba, who is very strongly entrenched into human values and systems and the right dharma to follow kind of situation. Somehow or the other, he managed to convince me, a very unwilling student, to become a lawyer. And the way I became a lawyer is another story. It's another episode by itself. But the fact remains that due to his grace, I embarked upon my career as a lawyer. But when God's grace is earned by somebody, or you constantly pray, there is a divine hand that helps you to balance life. Because my father used to always tell me, and that was one of the reasons I didn't want to become a lawyer, is to say law is a jealous wife. I mean, it doesn't tolerate your own wife also. I mean, that's the kind of rhetoric I used to hear from my father, that you have to work from 7 in the morning till 11 in the night. And the question was that after the court hours and before the court hours, if you have to continue doing what you're doing, what happens to the other aspects of your life, or what happens to the other balance of your life? And life cannot be a unitary path. It's a balance, and that balance is what human beings are made of. And that's where joy, peace, happiness lies, in terms of balance. So Swami, when I complained to Baba, he told me, no, don't worry, I'll help you. You can do everything you like and do that. So that's where I think the first message came from Bhagavan, that when you select a profession, it is definitely something which is personal, it is aspirational, it is something that you want to talk and get a good name. Now, there was a difference where I learned that to get a great name and to get a good name are two different things. Okay, I realized that over the, when I look back 4 or 5 decades, I realized there are many, many great lawyers, but there are many, many good lawyers who are more important than the great lawyers. Okay, because the idea is that, am I isolated from society? Am I a part of society? Am I a contributory to the society? Were very fundamental, basic questions which came into my mind as a young lawyer. And that's where I was able to draw my direction of the career and a profession in a way. And fortunately for me, my mentors in the Bombay High Court were my father's colleagues, and they were very, very great counsels and great lawyers who were also in that age. I remember, when I go back to 4 or 5 decades, and I'm sure many of my senior colleagues who are elder to me here on this will know that there were very stalwarts in our profession who, though they were great and good lawyers, had always time for everything else. They were musicians, they were poets, they were writers. There were so many dimensions of human personality that they exhibited. In fact, I remember one of the things that even Swami used to tell me, that even to be a good lawyer, you have to be a good literator. You should be having a great knowledge of literature and idiom. And I remember my father and Swami forcing me to learn phrases and idioms and all those things, which were very, very essential to a kind of a professional life that we wanted to live, and the excellence that was to be done as far as lawyers is concerned. Well, that was the sort of a initiation by Bhagavan of mine in the legal profession. And really speaking, no doubt I had to work hard, like all of us do. All of us really work hard in our profession. It is not an easy profession, and to make a mark is always a challenge. But I realized that when you put your effort, and then there is the grace of that divine power, this combination really makes a good beginning and a good sustainable future for everyone. Well, we have seen, and I'm sure all my colleagues just now here who are lawyers have seen, that every lawyer has a phase. Every great lawyer has a decade or 2 decades of great standing at the bar, when people are after him or her, when all matters go to that person. I remember a few of my colleagues in the Bombay High Court, where the chamber work used to go to 2 or 3 counsels. Whatever happens, it always goes to that chamber. It always goes to their juniors. And they were the masters of their kind. But I used to realize, and I used to observe then also, that there is a decade or 2 decades when these guys are sought after. They are after them. But when they perish, when they fall sick and they are out, nobody looks in their direction also. Nobody even looks in their direction to find out whether they were good, they are healthy, they are not healthy. When they go down, all the Wawa vanishes, and I've seen great councils when they are no more in the limelight, coming back and walking the corridors of the Bombay High Court, when those very people who used to run after them don't even look in that direction, or maybe just a smirk or a smile and they go away. So then came the question, are you following this career to get a name so the others can say Wawa to you? Or is it your self-satisfaction that you're going to do this because you need to do this as a human being? And that's where I think Swami's teachings come in the place where Swami was very fond of lawyers. Swami was very much in awe of lawyers. When somebody said that so-and-so is to become a lawyer, Swami used to look at great respect. Because I think he was trying to indicate that we as a fraternity have a great role to perform individually, in the field of society, and even spiritually. All these three roles are very, very important, and I'd like to share upon them as we go further in all the three dimensions of the roles that we have. But before I come to that, I want to share with you some experiences that I had with stalwarts in the field, and that one of the things I always remember very personally is my interaction with the Doyen Nani Palkhiwala. Most of you know, in the Bombay High Court, we have this great habit of calling everybody by the first name. Even if he's a very senior person, we still call him by the first name, and that's how tradition was. And I used to also I was told that you should address Nani as Nani and not Mr. Palkhiwala or something like that, because the Bombay bar on the original side was a very British oriented, and still is in many ways, the situation there. So we used to call them the first name. As a young lawyer, I was with Swami, and there was this convocation of the Sathya Sai University, one of the few first convocations of the Sathya Sai University. And as a young lawyer with my colleagues in the organization, I was given the assignment to accompany Mr. Palkhiwala from the Bangalore airport. Those days it was right in the city, from Bangalore airport to the Prashanti Nilayam ashram. And you can imagine a young lawyer like me, totally in awe of a doyen called Nani Palkhiwala, and it's a 3-hour journey from the airport to Prashanti Nilayam, sitting in the car alone with him. I mean, it's like the whole system is excited and the mind is excited. There are so many things to talk, but you are completely alert what to speak, what not to speak, because he's the guest of Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai Baba. And lest I open my mouth and say something which is not correct or good, was an anxious concern with my mind. But still, I said, this opportunity will never come. You have to talk to Nani Palkhiwala, 3 hours alone. I mean, people pay for 5 minutes. Here I have 3 hours free of charge. I must make the most of that situation and never get up. And yes, I learned a lot from Nani when he was talking. And then the first thing that he told me was, I asked him, Nani, how did you become? All that general, very stupid, serious question. I mean, initial questions that you asked. But then he used to tell me. And then I said, Nimish, law is very easy. Law is 90% common sense and 10% law. So, but then he smiled at me, he says, but it depends upon not your sense, not your understanding of common sense, but what common sense really is, whether you have it or not. But he says, it is a human interaction. It is an aspect of feeling on a particular principle that affects mankind. It is not, you will always make money, there is no problem. But the moment you show the empathy and the sympathy for the principle that you stand for, or the cause that you espouse, or the argument that you are making, the honesty and the integrity of the argument that you make, where you are then purely an assistant of the court, guiding the court and helping the court to come to a proper judgment, is very integral to becoming a very integrated personality as far as law is concerned. And he says hard work is what he told me. He says hard work. Nimish, when I used to be, when he was telling me his story, he used to be traveling from a railway station at Cherney Road in the local trains. And he used to be so committed that even while he's waiting for the train, he's reading something. And that's what he was sharing with me, trying to tell me, in short, that hard work is inevitable. But hard work balanced with a character is very, very important. It is not hard work that you take to gain something, to make money, or to get a name for yourself. A name for yourself born out of good actions, not name for yourself where you're a poster boy saying something else in life and behaving something else in personal life. So that was the great hallmark that he sort of shared with me at that point of time. And then when I asked him, I said, Nani, you're a Parsi. I mean, you come from Bombay, you're a Parsi, you're going to Puttaparthi to an Andhra guy who's got afro hair. And what is this connection? Why would you go to Andhra Pradesh in this afro haired person and go and be a chief guest? What is it that draws you? I said, you're only the second Parsi who's come here. The earlier one was Karanjia, who gave Swami a lot of galis, and then thereafter he came and wrote a lovely article that if at all there is God, God resides in Puttaparthi, was the article that Blitz wrote in those days. Then he answered me a very good thing, brothers and sisters. He said, I've come to this Bhagavan. Not that I want to call myself a devotee. I don't have that kind of blind faith. I have come here because I am deeply impressed by Baba's message on character. I am deeply impressed by the fact that he said the end of education is character. And I am totally enamored by his definition of character. So I asked him, what is it now? He says, Nimish, Baba is the first person who has stated that education must be something that creates a character in a person, and character in a person means that he is united in his thought, word, and deed at all times. And this was a very important statement that not only Swami had made over the years, but as far as we are concerned, even if you look in the profession or look at the societal fabric as on today, we have this problem. We are faced with this tremendous problem of integration of thought, word, and deed at all levels. So he explained to me, he says, Nimish, you know what the problem with India is? India has no problem. India has no crisis. There is enough water in this country to quench the thirst of the whole world. There is enough food that we have in this country to feed the hunger of the whole world. We have so much resources that we can share the resources with the whole world philanthropically. There is no problem. But the only problem that we have now here in India is character crisis. And character is what, as he defined, the inability of mankind to keep his thought, word, and deed into one unison. And if you go to analyze this situation before we come to our own profession in many ways, if you see generally in life, this is the problem today. That whether it's a leader, he has a problem of keeping his thought, word, and deed one. If it is a doctor, he has a problem of keeping his thought, word, and deed one. Our profession, though there are many, many grades, but still the malady at a general level to keep our thought, word, and deed one is a challenge. You see engineers, you see businessmen. Why go far? See even parents. You and I as parents also have a great role to sort of analyze ourselves. When it comes to our own parenting, when it comes to our own children, are we integrated in our thought, word, and deed to be inspirational to our children? Imagine today you have fathers who drink at home but tell the son not to drink. You have fathers who smoke at home but tell the son not to smoke. Or for that matter, you have mothers who may be fighting with their own sisters but telling the little girl and her sister, you don't fight with your sister. You see, this kind of a dichotomy in society is the real problem, as Nani explained to me. And if we can set this right, then everything becomes fine. And there is an analogy to this to what Swami also mentioned. Swami also mentioned that to change the world today, if at all we all agree that the world needs, imagine all the headlines in the newspapers that we see, or even the debates in our own profession that we see as far as the various aspects of law are concerned. I mean, we have newspapers and news channels who just put it's more for a limelight to say something that you want to say so that you catch eyeballs as far as that is concerned. But there is no nishkash, as they say in Hindi. There is no essential solution that comes. All questions are left open. Everything is left open. There is no solution that anybody is trying to give as to what is to be done. And really speaking, as Swami explained to all of us, was that And why Swami? I would say all spiritual thoughts in this beautiful country of India have driven us to this direction, that integrity of thought, word, and deed, whether it's Buddhism, whether it is Hinduism, whether it is Christianity or Islam for that matter, is there a great sense of unity that is required in thought, word, and deed. And our culture says that if a man who has no unity of thought, word, and deed is an animal. He is not a man. The very definition of a man is the one who has the courage to keep his thought, word, and deed one. So that was the background that Nani was impressed with Baba, and Baba has been telling us at all times. If that's the question, brothers and sisters, today, you and I are in the profession. Surely we are making money. Surely we are getting named. Surely we have cases to fight. Surely we have. So within the four corners of the law, however awkward or however insufficient it is, we are happy trying to say that we are doing justice. We are happy to say that A, B, or C is to be done. As somebody in the panel on the conclave of India today, yesterday, I was watching on channel, and there was this whole debate on the whole story about a contract which the highest slum in Mumbai, Dharavi, has been given, and the pros and cons of that contract were being discussed. Then there was one gentleman who was really a person not connected to any party, but he was a social servant who was there sitting on the channel. And at the end of it, it was very amazing. So with the anchor was saying, okay, 30 seconds for you last, 30 seconds for you last, 30 seconds for you last. When he came to this man and asked him, sir, your 30 seconds. He says, I don't want 30 seconds, I want 5 seconds. I just want to say, I'm so sorry that I came on this panel. I should have never come on this panel to discuss anything because they are shouting and screaming and there is no solution. You see? So now what happens? What is the message to society? The message to society is that there is no solution. All these so-called stalwarts are no more inspirational, are no more people who can inspire people. Okay? And yesterday, the foundation stone ceremony was being laid, and Justice Chandrachud was there in Mumbai, and he was trying to talk. And in his talk, his memory as a young man goes to walking to the portals of the Bombay High Court and seeing the plaque of Lokmanya Tilak when he says after this trial that this judgment may be what it is, but there are higher powers that rule the destiny of man. And for that higher power, if I have to suffer this, I will suffer. Okay. Now take that range of high moral ground that lawyers of the stalwarts of the kinds that the Bombay High Court brought up, or for that matter, the Madras High Court, the Karnataka High Court, the Kolkata High Court, the Supreme Court. They're stalwarts, and all of us essentially are spiritual. You know how I came to know this? It was a few years ago when we had the first All India legal conference in Prashantinal. Now, all of you know, and I'm sure all of you will agree with me when I tell you this, to get 14 judges of the Supreme Court, 20 judges of the High Court, equal number of leading lawyers and district judges on a non-legal forum in Prashanti on a spiritual format led by Justice Venkatachalaya was an event of its kind. On the contrary, I want to urge that all of you should see that video, and I'm going to request Brother Mukundan to share that link for that entire proceedings of the first legal conference and which we had in Prashanti. You know, brothers and sisters, I was shocked as a man. That's it. I was conducting the whole program along with my colleagues from Delhi and Chennai. Every judge had a spiritual spark in that person. There was that conscience. Okay, there was that seed of spirituality. Whether it was Justice Deepak Mishra, Justice Venkatachalaya, or the Justice Ramana, or anybody, whoever came. I mean, and we have all opinions about all judges. That's a fact, okay? I mean, though we may call them my lord, but behind my lord, we know, okay, in our mind, we have a particular impression of that person not because we have something wrong in our mind, but there are certain acts and incidents which speak about a person's, there is a fragrance about everybody, you come to know, okay? But despite all that, brothers and sisters, there was that spark of divinity, and each one of them was stating that that spark of divinity, that divine power, had helped them somewhere or the other in life. Okay, somewhere it had touched them and it had pushed their career or their appeasing in all those situations. It was there a part of that situation. So the essence of spiritual base, even if you are a high-flying lawyer, can't be ignored. It is there. And that is a force that Baba says can be the energy or the power that makes you integrated in your thought, word, and deed. Now, what happens? Let's come to a human angle. We may be professionals as lawyers, we may be excellent, but we can't forget we are basically human beings. Human beings who are fundamentally born and are going to die. So in this situation, our spiritual heritage of India definitely guides us that it is not a legal war in the court is a different story, but there's a daily per second war happening with every human being. Okay, every human being there's a per. So there is this conscience, there is the mind, and there is the action. As a lawyer, your mind rules. Your mind is the basis for everything: analysis, logic, memory, intelligence. Everything is there. But we never give credence to the fact that there is a factor called intuition. And that intuition, if you analyze our own careers in life, this intuition has always played a very major role in our careers. It has played a major role in our careers, if in our success, or even in terms of making us realize whenever we have made a mistake. Okay, whenever we made a mistake, it has made us realize that in the night before you sleep, it comes and tells you. You may shout at your juniors, you may shout at the judge, you may shout at the client, justify yourself, because we are very good at justifying things in a career perspective. But in the night when you sleep, it is your conscience that tells you, look, brother, look, sister, you made a mess. This was not correct. You should not have done this. And that's where character comes in. The courage to accept, the courage to ensure that you don't do it again, and the courage to, in the skill set, to be able to sustain this war between the mind and the conscience. When the conscience tells you something and the mind tells you something, that pause which comes in between, as Baba used to say, the heart, where you check yourself, should I do this or should I not do this? Okay, that's point one. Therefore, this war, this skill set which is required, I think it's required most for lawyers. Okay, because here we are trying to create a system of justice. We say in the Constitution that justice is a birthright, that's the fundamental right. Why? Everybody wants to be happy. Everybody wants to be at peace. Everybody wants to be having the aspirations fulfilled. Why all this? Because we want a just society where everybody has space and everybody has right to do what they want to do. Why would you do this? The answer under British law is equality, but under spiritual law is the opportunity to understand who I am. Am I an ordinary human being or I am a divine being? Am I a simple mass of cells and bodies? Am I just the mind? No. There is something about me which is to be recognized, and that recognition can come in a justice-based society, in a society which is completely giving full opportunity for everyone to manifest the inherent divinity or the inherent excellence that each one has. If you see today, even if the whole justice system that you go to see, what is happening? We have now come to realize that laws have not helped people to evolve as human beings. In fact, laws have enabled the skill set of the intelligence to overcome the law rather than follow the law and create that environment. Okay? And imagine even in the system, the ability, the skill sets of lawyers to transform society, if that potential is not being looked into. If you see the society today, who's going to change the society? Everybody wants to change somebody else. Everybody wants to change everybody else. But nobody thinks, am I going to change myself? Am I going to be on a self-transformation path? And therefore, today, I think as fraternity of lawyers, it is now time to come. And imagine today also, despite all that is happening, I am very amazed, brothers and sisters. The GST applies to everyone, but doesn't apply to us. Okay, it's an amazing story. Okay, till today, despite such a robust society, And nobody's making a halabaloo out of it. Everybody is quiet about it. Why? I asked some seniors, he said, no, we are a very noble profession. So I often wonder, what is this nobility that we have, which tells that the government is just a lobby of some of us, because the lawyers are always leaders. Lawyers are the biggest politicians, and they have such a strong lobby that even a service that you are rendering, and many of us make a lot of money, many of us charge very hefty fees, and still GST is not applicable. Why? There is an inherent respect for this profession, which is far greater even than the medical doctors. Why? See, physical pain is one thing, but mental pain, spiritual pain, opportunity to live and breathe properly, this is where you and I come in. This is where you and I are coming with a responsibility to establish a society which is based on justice and which is based on a proper system of it. And here you need people of integrity. Here you need people who are bold enough to follow their conscience. Okay? But now, unfortunately, if we have become commercial, the way it is, we can't help it. That's life and that's how it is. Because even as lawyers, as human beings, now we have succumbed to desire, we succumb to competition, we succumb to situations. You and I know that now the councils in the higher courts are more competitive, who pays the highest tax, rather than seeing who has contributed the greatest situation. In fact, their income tax returns are being shown off as he is a more popular man, he pays the highest tax, he does this. I mean, okay, what have we done? Swami is to point out that today, the judicial system, as we all agree, and there is no debate about it, has now become totally, it's outcasted the common man in many ways financially, the ability to go. It's only the top who can afford to pay can go, and see the backlog that goes. Now, what happens? I'm not asking for a solution. It is not my job today to give a solution for the backlog or how to solve the system. But I'm on Swami's point of view that I do not believe that we as lawyers should take up a campaign or a mission to change the world. Is there a question? Is there an answer that we as human beings, we may be lawyers, we have the skill sets, we have the knowledge which can bring peace in the world. But the question is, am I integrated? Am I willing that I change myself first? Therefore, Swami's greatest thing, which I like very much, brothers and sisters, is that Swami explained to us that what have we done today? With all that, we have devalued man totally and valued everything else in the world to the topmost, when the situation should have been the other way around. Man should have been the most valuable, and everything else should have been less valuable than man. But this is turned around. Okay? Whether it's rape, whether it's robbery, whether it is usurping property, whether it's cheating in business, whether it is family disputes, whether it is husband and wife disputes, there is no respect for man. There is no respect for mankind. It is me, mine, my, which is coming into fore in a big way. Is the divorce laws going to change human relationship between a husband and wife? No. On the contrary, they are being used to pinpoint people. I mean, has the Negotiable Instrument Act made people more honest in giving their checks and ensuring that the checks don't bounce? No. Has the Indian Penal Code stopped crimes? And in fact, I remember when forget the current rape issues, sometime back in Madhya Pradesh, when there was a set of rapes that happened, one of the chief secretaries of the Madhya Pradesh government was a lawyer, but who had become an IS officer, and he was a devotee of Baba. So the Madhya Pradesh government and the cabinet went in a huddle to see what is that law. Like Mamta ji said, I am going to pass a law to hang the person. Okay, fine, no problem, hang the person. And the people, the cabinet of Madhya Pradesh that time, Shivraj Chauhan, called this young man and he said, what is the solution? He said, the solution is not making laws. The solution is going back to the drawing board and ensuring that those very criminals, why did they become criminals? It is a social issue. You need to address it at the school level, address it at the personal level. You need to address at counseling level. Killing people or putting them behind bars. In fact, a good man who goes behind bars for 20 years comes out as a very right criminal. He has understood the whole underworld, how it operates and what it does. Therefore, the question comes, we as a set of lawyers, If we want to change the system, is there a proposition that we can consider that we need to first make ourselves transform? Because Baba used to say, if you transform yourself and you become inspirational to other people, then the system happens. But if you are not inspirational, if you are not seen to be what you speak about, then the other inspiration doesn't come. And we have seen, brothers and sisters, in our legal profession, that wherever there are stalwarts of the kind who stood up as full of character from all the high courts of the country over the years since independence, there are few people whom you remember, and you are totally in awe of them even today. Even the next generation wants to know about them as to who they were, why they were like that, kind of situation. So the first question of a satsang of a lawyer, Sai Neethi, that we talk about is, yes, we can't forget fundamentally that we are human beings. Secondly, if we are given the blessings of being an attorney or a lawyer, it is not only making money. Money we must make because we need to feed ourselves. In Marathi, where I hail from, it says, Agodar Potoba Nantar Vitoba. Okay, unless the Potoba is there, Vitoba. But then the question comes when stalwarts tell us, how much is enough? How much is the competition? How much is the competition that I want to do? And I remember as a young lawyer, when I met Baba for the first time, the urge, naturally I was only 21, 22 those days. And I was definitely, money was always the uppermost in terms of aspiration. And then Swami had told me that time very clearly. See, first he said was, cut off friends, and especially people who contribute negativity to you in your life. Point one. Point two, remember, he said, money is like a shoe. If your size of your foot is 7, if you wear 6, it will bite you. If you wear 8, you still are not comfortable. Therefore, that ability to decide that how much is good enough for me and beyond which, that will not be the driving force. The driving force will be a higher value, a higher moral situation where I got my 2 chapatis to eat at home when I go back, or I have enough to take care of myself. And that decision, whether it is our profession or any other profession, is a must. Okay, for the simple reason that there is a balance in life, and history has shown us. Our life, if you look down even to our professions also, history has shown us that people who have led a life of balance and just have lived happily. And therefore, as Mukundan mentioned in the morning, the biggest thing that I learned from and just now at the initiation of the convent, that I used to always, and I've learned this, and I still tell all my clients and in my profession, that first of all, be happy. If you're not a happy person, you can't make other people happy. Imagine a lawyer who's always arrogant and mad. That guy is not a good man. A smile on your face is the first thing. And a genuine smile is a genuine vibration. A genuine smile is a genuine energy, which we need to understand that this is a part. Like Swami tells the doctors, Swami tells lawyers also. Okay, that this situation, you see, the interpersonal human being to human being relationship cannot go out of focus in our life. That's point one. Secondly, my own life, am I able to change? Am I able to improve on a day-to-day basis? Am I a better person today than what I was yesterday? Am I a better lawyer today than what I was yesterday? Are definitely benchmarks from moment to moment as we proceed further in life, and which have to be addressed and which have to be taken care of as far as personal. That's what Baba says. Not Baba. I would say that's what our culture says. That self-transformation, self-excellence, creating a robust personality yourself, where your aura is such that whoever comes in your aura automatically is impressed. As they say, a great man is not who does great things. A great man is he in whose presence all feel great. And that's what I've done. Even in a culture like going back to Balkiwala. In his presence, I was ameliorated. In his presence, lofty thoughts came to my mind. In his presence, there was an awe. The liking to be a lawyer in my mind as a young man grew more. My confidence grew more, having met him and spent 3 hours in his presence. So that's the power of a personality who exudes that kind of aura around himself. And this is personal. This can be achieved by all of us. That's what Swami used to say. This, you can do it. I will help you. When he said, I will help you, mean he used to say that the divine power is within. Everything in the world that you want lies within yourself. It is a matter of tapping the inner energy rather than going outward. Okay. I mean, when I used to like to go to the Ganpati temple every time, and Swami used to give me this example that after standing in the so-called Siddhivinayak temple in Mumbai, where people stand for 1 day, 2 days in the line to go inside the mandir, Swami say, what happens when you go inside the mandir after standing for 1 day? You get 10 seconds or 15 seconds in front of the statue. But the moment you go in front of the statue, by default, you have folded your hands and closed the eyes. You are closing the eyes and praying to the very statue which you wanted to see for one full day. Or go to the church, Mother Mary's beautiful statue. Have you ever seen prayer? Everybody closes their eyes, the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost, eyes are closed. Because by default, Swami says, the power of divinity lies within yourself and not outside. And this power is available to be used. Why I'm making this point? That in our life as professional lawyers, we sometimes say that we are not religious, we are not spiritual. Fine, nobody wants to make us a devotee. Please don't do that. That's not the path. Even Sathya Sai Baba did not come to say that you must become my devotee. I say this with great responsibility. Baba used to always say, I have not come to make you my devotee. I have come to tell you that I am God, I know it. I have come to tell you that you also have the potential to become God. Now, this kind of evaluation of man, brothers and sisters, is amazing. Where Swami used to always in all his discourses say, Divyatma Swarupdula. He never said brothers and sisters. He never said that. He always said Divyatma. Now the question is, when you and I look at ourselves in the mirror, are we able to absorb the fact that we are divine? No, I'm Bichara, I'm so and so, I can't be God, I can't be this. No. Here is the master who has come to say that our culture tells us, our belief tells us that we are potentially capable of reflecting divine qualities from within ourselves with self-confidence. Now this self-confidence, wearing the gown, wearing the man, standing in the pot, arguing the matter with great affluence, is not self-confidence. Only. Yes, self-confidence can contribute to that, but that's not self-confidence. Self-confidence, Baba used to say, lies when you stand up and believe and say the same thing as you think, as you talk, as you do. That is self-confidence. And you are ready to face any consequence. The problem, I became a happy lawyer, brothers and sisters, with one advice of Baba. She is a young man, you are very tense. Every time you argue, you want to win the matter. Okay, it's a great dual thing. Like if I argue, I must win. If I argue, I must succeed. That's when Baba brought us. He says, no, that's not important. You are not going to control the destinies of people. What you are going to control and contribute is the righteousness, the truth, the integrity, the way you put your best foot forward and argue what is to be done. The result is really not. But unfortunately, in our profession today, result has become the benchmark. You see, the money, the fees, everything is result oriented. And the worst part is today that sometimes even the clients come and tell us, sir, you just stand there, the rest I have managed everything, kind of situation. It makes you feel very stupid sometimes that you are a puppet in the hands of a system with the family. But still, I am not going to change. What I would urge that we as a body of lawyers, I think have a great role to come together as a profession. With first commitment that I want to improve myself first. I will do what my conscience tells me. I will win the war when the mind and the conscience are in conflict. I will stand by it, irrespective of what others say or feel about me. I will stand by whatever. Okay? And with humility, with quietude. I remember one of my seniors in the Bombay High Court, Mr. D.S. Parikh. He used to speak so softly that it used to be difficult for people to even hear him. But he was humble, soft, and perfect in his job. I mean, on a principle of law, if he made a proposition, it was backed by great research and complete story. Great perfection. Absolute homework done properly. But that He used to take less matters, but he was there. He was a god in the court when he walked in, when people used to wait. And you must have shown, I'm sure you've seen many such examples in all the high courts. You've seen many such examples in every dimension, every state of the country. But that is self-confidence, excellence at the personal level, inspirational personality at the personal level, born out of not only intellect, but intuition. Born out of not by just ego sense, but born out of great spiritual, in-depth humility that I am an instrument where somebody is going to be working through. And the first thing that I loved about Swami when I went to him as a young boy was that he told me the correct address of God. Is that God doesn't reside in a temple, in a church, in a mosque. It is not in a photo. It is not in a statue. These are all great positions of inspiration. They are inspirational objects of substance or buildings. But that inspiration is something that you must take to spark the awareness of divinity within yourself. Now that is the great take-home of Indian culture and spirituality. That none of us are born to become followers. Each one of us is born to become a leader, standing on our 2 feet with self-confidence. You and I are not dependent upon another human being. We are collaborating with other human beings to create an environment of peace and happiness where people have a chance to think of God at least. They have a chance to realize who they are, a chance to manifest their own personality. And this can be done beautifully if all of us as a fraternity of lawyers can start with 2-3 things immediately. See, first of all, we always have a lot of conflict intellectually and thoughts which are negative, or many times we are prone to egoistic conflict with other people. Many times prone to not accepting the truth, even if we know that it is the truth, just to prove a point of time or just to prove our personality as we go further. Can this be corrected? Can there be a synchronization of acceptance of truth wherever it comes from is the first question. Secondly, realizing that though this is my bread and butter, though this is my aspiration, though this is my fulfillment of my dreams that I have, but having done so at the personal level, am I contributing something to something in life? Am I contributing as a mark of Seva, something? Swami used to call it Seva, but I would call it contributing to society. Let me not even call it a spiritual word. Have I contributed something to somewhere where I have made a change or a difference to somebody? Okay. Have I, in my interpersonal behavior, in my bar, in my collegium or in my state, where I've been nice to people genuinely, not placating, not saying something on the face and doing something behind? Have I been there? Have I been able to balance myself in life? Have I paid equal opportunity and equal justice to my family, to my children? It's very important. Can we make a society where there's a brilliant lawyer, but he's a horrible husband, who's a horrible father? Do we want a society like that? I tell that to my doctor colleagues also. You may be the biggest surgeon in the world, but imagine back home in your home, you are not able to relate to your wife, you're not able to relate to your children. Have you want a society like that, which is lopsided in many ways? Or we want a balance? And imagine, India is a place where everybody is supposed to be devoted. And Baba gives a lovely definition of devotion. What is devotion in a man? Not who takes a jap mala, not who takes and reads books, not somebody who's going and doing fasting for thousands of years, or doing fasting or doing bhajans or jap for 10 hours and 20 hours. Swami used to always say, and so has said many, many great spiritual masters of this country, that devotion is nothing but a balance or the ability to be at peace both in happiness and sorrow. That balance, that equipoise, is something that I think we as lawyers can show to give confidence to a little. See, it's not that you whether win the case or not, but if your client has the satisfaction of the conviction that my lawyer has done his best, he's done his best, and the rest is my destiny, I'm sure solutions will come. Now, this may sound illogical, what I'm going to tell you right now, but I want to give you 2 instances. I may be branded as believing in hocus pocus, but I'm not worried because this is my personal experience. And backed by the fact that Swami helped me. I want to share 3 experiences before I can conclude and then take any questions from you. How divinity, personal life, and profession can be integrated is something which I want to share with you today. As I told you that I was not a willing candidate to become a lawyer. And when Swami forced me to become a lawyer, I was telling him, Swami, I have not studied anything. I don't know. I may get my degree and the certificate, but what happens after that, I'm really sorry. I can't. He told me one thing. Tum chinta nahi karo. In Hindi, he said, you don't worry, I will send you work. And brothers and sisters, you won't believe me. You may call it coincidence. But I passed, and within the first 2 months, not knowing anything about law because I was never a good student, the first assignment that came to me was a conveyance of an ice cream factory in Mumbai from a place to be transferred from the place to another purchaser. In fact, it was a Joy ice cream factory which was being sold that time. And the Joy ice cream factory conveyance came to me. So one of Baba's devotees called me to his office and dumped a whole file of papers. Here it is. I want the draft conveyance within 6 days. I want to work on it. Now imagine, complete no idea of what to do. There is a bundle of papers on my table, and she says, within 1 week, I want to have this draft conveyance. You believe me, I'm not an interested lawyer, but divinity. When Swami told me, and when I say Swami, please don't listen, I'm not talking of that form called Sathya Sai. I'm talking of that belief that there is a power within yourself which can make you do unbelievable things. Unimaginable excellence can emerge from within yourself. That completely lousy law student sitting with a bunch of papers on his table, I somehow just started. And when something takes over from inside and you start, brothers and sisters, it brings out excellence in the biggest way. I came out with a draft, least corrected draft of conveyance. I did my homework, I got it, I done it, I got it. And in those days, my first fees which I got for this conveyance was a lakh of rupees, which was too much in those days. I was like, I was dazed that I had earned the first lakh of rupees, first shot in my career. Not because I was capable, not because I had connections, but it was the power and the blessings of the master from within yourself that you can do this system. Second, a little later in life, I came across I was arguing a writ in I was arguing notice of motion in the Bombay High Court relating to IP, intellectual property, as a trademark matter. Now, against me in the trademark matter was Bombay High Court's most leading counsel, who's supposed to be a master of trademark. Okay? And my client was a very humble man doing business using the same mark in his business in a small. The case was against me. I was representing the defendant. He represented the defendant. And that time, Justice Deshmukh sitting on the bench was supposed to be a very intelligent, strict man, very no nonsense kind of guy. So Justice Deshmukh used to read all his papers and come. He was very well versed. Before he sat on the bench, he knew exactly what he wanted to do. And what happens was that the fact is that moment my colleague, senior colleague, argued the matter, he was a master. So he had put the case most beautifully. See? And I, as a young man, would try to prepare everything. You know how we do. We prepare everything. We have our notes and we have our judgments and everything. And the moment I get up to argue, Justice Deshmukh says, Mr. Pandya, I don't want you to say anything. Answer my question, yes or no. Okay. Now, I'm purely aware the moment I try to answer this question, yes or no, I'm finished. I'm out in 1 second. Okay. At that point of time, brothers and sisters, I just turned back because all of you know at the bar, you have the choice to call your client and turn back and ask a question. So I called my client and said, so my client came running to the bar where I was standing and he said, what is it? I said, no, don't do anything. Just keep quiet. I just want to pray to Swami that how do I get out of this? You won't believe me, brothers and sisters. You may take this as a coincidence or and imagine me, I had to be a completely focus. It struck me, intuitively it struck me that I don't have an answer on merit to this guy. But it struck me that Justice Deshmukh hates false statements in the pleadings. Okay, it struck me that this man hates. It struck me and I turned around and I said, Justice Deshmukh, I will answer your question. Your Lordship, I'll answer your question, but first I must point out to your Lordship the false statement which your Lordship does not like in the paragraph where the limitation clause was mentioned. There was a false date and a false statement mentioned on the face of it. Oh, is that so, Mr. Pandya? Sit down. Yes, tell me, sir. Why should I not dismiss your matter for making false statement? You believe me, brothers and sisters, that notice of motion got dismissed. I got saved until today. After so many years, when I meet my colleague in the bathroom, he still tells me, I still don't understand how I lost that matter. So I tell him, even I don't understand how you lost that matter and how I won it. Okay, that's the other thing. Third instance, Baba was in Mumbai, in Dharmakshetra. And those days I used to do a lot of 391 and the Companies Act, the 491 point, the amalgamation petitions were my forte. I used to do a lot of them. I did a lot of mergers and acquisitions for the Hindujas and that time the Garwares and the Videocons. I used to be very much deeply involved in that. So there were like 30 petitions of mine on the board before Justice Bharucha, who was the Chief Justice of India, later on became the Chief Justice. Now Justice Bharucha was a very, his psyche was very different. He was a Parsi, so once he makes up his mind, that's the end of the world. Nobody can make a change. So 30 odd petitions on the board in my name. Baba is in Mumbai. Baba is in the morning there. I had made arrangements with another colleague of mine to represent me and say that, look, I need some time because of this spiritual thing and all that. But unfortunately, my colleague did not reach. And that day in the morning session, Justice Bharucha dismissed more than 140 matters, out of which 30 were mine dismissed. Now, what happens in most of you who are in the corporate practice who know that these merger petitions are time bound because there is a scheme and the scheme has to be approved before the time and it has to be filed, and so a lot of steps that follow with that. And if it gets dismissed, now to get it restored is another 1 month process to apply and motion, and the other side will oppose and the government will oppose. So when I was on duty before Baba in Dharmakshetra in Mumbai, I get a message that Nimish, all your petitions have been dismissed by Justice Bharucha. Now Swami is in front of me, I'm on duty, so I'm waiting for Baba to finish the darshan. When Baba retired in the afternoon, before he went, he smiled at me. So that gave me, I said, okay, kuch to acha hoga, there is some hope. He has smiled and gone. So I ran to, now Andheri is in the suburb, Bombay High Court is down south. I came running and I reached, it was lunchtime by that time. And Justice Bharucha had retired in the chamber. So when he retired in the chamber, now nobody dare. Everybody knows, nobody dare enter the chamber of Justice Bharucha during lunchtime. But I was so confident and so clear that Swami has blessed me. I went and told the officer outside in the antechamber, I said, look, I have to meet Justice Bharucha. He said, no, nobody can meet us. Just tell Justice Bharucha that Nimish Pandya has come here desperately. He doesn't know me from Adam, not that he knew me. But I just said, here is a lawyer called Nimish Pandya who is desperate and I have to meet him. And luckily for me, Justice Bharucha had just finished his lunch. And he heard this couple outside, just a wooden partition. So he hears it. So he told him, okay, send him in. I went inside. I stood there and I said, Judge, I have a problem. Judge, Sai Baba is in Mumbai. I had been there on duty. I had asked somebody to appear. He did. And your Lordship has dismissed all the petitions. And I'm so sorry, your Lordship has to help me. You know, kind of conviction. Otherwise, I could have been depressed, I could have been lack of confidence, everything. I went there praying to Bhagwan and I entered and he said, yes, young man, don't worry. I'm coming, I'm taking my seat, mention the matter and I'll restore it for you. Now see the fun. It's not only my matter which is dismissed. There are like another 70, 80 matters of stalwarts, senior counsel standing there with matters are dismissed and they're all waiting to mention. That means there's a crowd there to mention the matter at 2:45 when the judge takes seat. I sneak inside because the Sirasdar who sits below the judge has met me in the chamber, so he knows me. So he's calling me, come. And as I'm trying to approach the bar, all the seniors are pushing me back. So I say, why are you pushing me? I'm going to mention the matter. He said, no, if you mention, you'll surely get rejected. And if you get rejected, all of us will get rejected. So I said, look, sir, don't allow me to mention. My matters are going to get restored and automatically all will be restored. The judge called me from the crowd. Yes, Mr. Pandya. So I mentioned, I just said, sir, he not only restored my matter, but he restored all the matters of all the councils that afternoon and smiled at me and went. Now, okay, whichever way you want to look at it is our choice. But brothers and sisters, it works. And the last example I want to give you is the Bombay Requisition Act is the act where the government in the British times had acquired all the properties of the owners to give it to people. Then comes a stage 10 years ago when the government decides that now this Requisition Act has fulfilled its purpose, the properties must go back to the owners. There was a Supreme Court judgment that the property should be given back. Now what happens? In the meantime, so many people have been staying in this property. And there was one guy who was working in another colleague's office. He was a peon. He was staying in a building which was called the Requisition Act, and they were given all times to vacate the property. Now what happens is, it's like en masse the judges to pass order, okay, 100 petitions, okay, return the property within 6 weeks, vacate the property within 6 weeks, common orders being passed in all the petitions. This man is sitting there, he says, no, sir, you please help me, I need 1 year, my daughter's getting married, this, that. Now imagine his matter is in a bunch of 40 matters, and traditionally the judges are passing common orders in all the matters, and this client and I go and appear and tell him to go and sit behind. Go and sit behind and take only God's name. Don't do whichever God you believe, you please do jab, do pray, whatever it is. Sir, it is on record. The Roznama is still there. There are the 40 matters. I mentioned one matter and said, Your Lordship, there is a daughter which is going to get married and you must help me. What is it? What is it? No, Mr. Pandya, we're passing common orders. This is a Supreme Court direction. You can't do it. I said, Lordship, we have me too. You won't believe me, but 40 matters, 39 directed to hand over possession within 6 days, 7 days. And this client of mine got 6 months to stay in that property, finish the daughter's wedding and go. Now, my point is very simple. Are we utilizing this power that each one of us has for the benefit of mankind, for the good of people? It is a choice. And we must look into that direction, that we are not ordinary human beings of flesh and blood. The body is only a vehicle. There is a great power within ourselves where we can do what we want to do. Our destiny to fulfill the system and support society with righteousness is the greatest benefit and the gift we as lawyers have got. It is my feeling that Sai Neethi, which is this conglomeration of lawyers coming together, I'm not saying the world will change overnight, but if each one of us takes an effort to change ourselves and promises ourselves to do something better for somebody else every day, that's a Seva dimension. That's a service. And I'm not equating this to pro bono cases or taking a free work. I'm not even going into that realm. It's just that whomever we meet, whoever is our client, wherever we can contribute, is there something that we can contribute to our capacity? And at the bottom of it, in thought, word, and deed, when we walk in the corridors of our thought or in our chambers, are we able to nourish good thoughts, positive thoughts? Be positive, not negative. Are we able to control our negative emotions so that they don't translate into our belief or in our profession as far as things are concerned? That is the dimension, which is an open question for all of us. I know you may believe that this is not relevant to the profession per se, but we can never forget that profession is not a profession without you and I being a part of it as human beings. And human beings have to show the quality of humanity, have to show the quality of Satya, Dharma, Shanti, Prem, and Ahimsa. We have to be at peace ourselves. We have to be happy ourselves to be able to spread that happiness to people. Okay? And therefore, that extra step, if there is righteousness in the heart, then there is beauty in character. If there is beauty in character, then there is harmony in the home. If there is harmony in the home, then there is order in the nation. If there is order in the nation, then there is peace in the world. To say that peace in the world is not my job, to say that it is not my job to change the world, to say, what can I do? I can't do anything. To say that it is beyond me, it is not my job to do what I do. I think these notions can be corrected, can be turned positive And in our small little way, we can do a lot of things, is what Bhagwan Baba. And therefore, I think the other quotation with which I'd like to end is that sow a seed of thought, reap a fruit of action. Sow a seed of action, reap a fruit of habit. Sow a seed of habit and reap a fruit of good fortune or good character. Therefore, everything lies in the first thought. Thought is the beginning. Keeping positive thoughts, good thoughts. Thought has the power to do work. Thought is a speck of energy. And energy in science is defined as that which has ability to do work. Therefore, keeping the mind in good thoughts and satsang, good company, is very important. Therefore, the very fundamentals of Sai Neethi, brothers and sisters, are not that we're going to change the constitution of India, not that we're going to change the way practice happens, but if we change ourselves, if there is righteousness in our heart, then our character will be beautiful. If our character is beautiful, there will be harmony in our own homes first. And then peace and order in the nation will come automatically. There is no magic wand by which India can change. There is no magic wand where people will become good or the whole Ram Rajya will come. The magic wand only lies with each one of us. If we change, the world will change. If we don't change, nothing will change. And for us to change, good thoughts are important. Good company is important. Therefore, I pray to Bhagwan that our fraternity of people who are coming together today, of which we're inaugurating, will meet more and more often. We'll expand this horizon of our legal fraternity, who will come together with positive thoughts and self-transformation to change the world. If you change, the world changes. If you don't change, nothing happens. Therefore, open to us. Let's meet together more often. Let this whole movement come back in great force throughout the country, where lawyers meet not in the bar for a cup of tea, but lawyers meet in the bar for a cup of great thought, a great action, and a great self-transformation process. Jai Sai Ram, and thank you very much for this great patient journey. I know it's been a big monologue, but well, lawyers are lawyers. If you give them a chance to speak, they will speak. And I really beg pardon if I have overstepped anywhere. But these are some thoughts which I believe that we should share, which I have learned at the Divine Lotus feet of Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai. Jai Sai Ram. Thank you very much.
Sai Ram.
Sairam, sir. Now this is the time for question and answer session. Without wasting time, I request all sisters and brothers who have some need for clarification, please come forward, because this is a great opportunity when a learned lawyer is with us, our respected Reverend All India President, Saira.
I'm sure there are many great lawyers in this world, far greater than me in this whole group. Every lawyer is a very unique person. There is no comparison amongst lawyers.
But sir, we are hearing for the first time you speaking as a lawyer, sir.
I have this great privilege of sharing with them what I learned with Swami. So I'm very happy sharing this.
Please come forward with your point.
With due respect to all, we are all thankful for the speech that was given to inculcate us to have a good character as desired by Sathya Sai. I am sure that there will be some change from today onwards, or at this moment onwards, either in our profession or in the life. And we will contribute something to the society with the divine blessings of Sai. And we will keep on meeting as desired by you. And I am fortunate enough to be associated with all of you. I joined Sathya Sai when I was just maybe 14 years old. Baba has given me interview and gave me blessings and gave me a thought. I have grown up and became a judge, and I am now Supreme Court advocate, and I am doing what I could do as a human being. I request all of you, including the great leader Nimish Garu, let us have the exposure of experiences with Sai Baba's teachings and blessings in the next meetings. Let all of us have some good amount of time to share our experiences and difficulties and how to solve them, how to propagate the idea of making everybody with some character and love and affection, how to live every second with happiness. The legal illegalities that are being done nowadays are making fun of judiciary, making fun of divine forces. So let us contribute ourselves in a good way to highlight and enlighten everybody to have happiness in his life and give and create happiness to all. I think I have taken 3 minutes time. I respect the time's value because each second has to be treated as a very, very valuable, which can, in 1 second, we can take a decision to change our pattern of life. So, with this, I, with a fervent hope to meet as early as possible, if not once in a week, in order to develop our group and also cultivate the habit of following Sai's ideals. Thank you very much. Thank you, Nimishkar.
Thank you, sir. I invite Mr. Anupam, who has been waiting with the raised hands, to quickly ask any question if you want to, sir. Mr. Anupaman, you had raised your hand. You are muted, sir. You need to unmute and then speak. Sir, you are still muted, Mr. Anupaman. You are muted. You need to unmute and then speak. Okay, if we can, then I'll request Mr. Lakshmi Narayanan, who has raised his hand as well, to ask a question. Due to paucity of time, we will be restricting questions to only one more. Mr. Lakshmi Narayanan, are you ready? No. Mr. Prabhu Shankar, you also raised your hand.
Yes, I
Can you
know.
unmute? Yeah, please.
Yes, I know. Sir, it was very inspiring talk, sir, really. And I am really very happy to be here today among you all in this esteemed forum. What will be the objective of this forum, sir? As I learned, as I understood, it will be towards service, doing service by way of a seva to the people, right, guiding them in the right way, and also taking forward the people who come to us in the right direction. Am I right, sir?
AP, sir. You are muted, sir. You need to unmute, sir.
Yeah, no. So, sir, I think basically what I would suggest is that, first of all, I think the fact that all of us meet more often on a path of understanding our own self-transformational process is the first initial step, and inspiring all of us, all our colleagues in the chambers, everywhere, on this understanding, on this awareness that we need to do this. Secondly, I would understand that being sincere and honest in the nature of work that we do, let's do our own analysis whether there is any aberration in the things that we do as far as our profession is concerned. Thirdly, is that are we able to balance our lives within the family itself is another question, that we should be able to inspire our own people also is a question that I would need to do. And thereafter, I think the greatest need of the hour is to see the knowledge or the awareness of what are the rights of people, rather than create that education part of it, which lawyers can do to the people whom we come into contact. making them aware of what their rights are and what they can do. I think that educational dimension, probably we spend 1 hour in a week or something of that sort to create the literacy of people, so that if they know the law, they would not breach it and they would not suffer. I think what I have, I'm sure you have your own experience, that it is the ignorance of law that creates so much turmoil in the lives of people. And had they known what it was, probably they would not have suffered the way they've suffered right now. So legal literacy, I think, is a great contribution that we as professionals can do by spending good time, creating good literature, creating good forums where these things can be explained within our districts, within our villages, within our talukas, within our cities. That's important. Therefore, I do believe that when I meet young people, I tell them, whichever field you are, please understand the law of your land properly, so that you are not wasting precious moments of your life in trying to pursue or correct things which you are doing. Because one legal issue can destroy the entire career of somebody, which is very difficult. Awareness. Today morning, I was speaking to a school which I am in charge of in Mumbai on the whole POSCO Act. I said, be careful, be alert. We don't want you to spoil your life. These are the things that you're supposed to do. Your behavior is to be corrected as teachers, as staff. See that nothing goes wrong, so that you don't suffer and your life is not wasted. So this kind of awareness, I think, is very important in our country, where people are just aware. They have no idea of what they're supposed to do. They only land into trouble and then learn. So which is very difficult. So I think that's where there's one option available.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
With the legal literacy, we need to have spiritual literacy also.
Yeah, that's one of
No, I fully agree with you. Literacy is an integrated way of knowledge, spirituality, intuition, and to put it in more colloquial and so and acceptable words, it is intuition and intellect both together. It has to be developed in that sense.
Thank you. Mr. Lakshmi Narayanan Krishnamurthy, if you are ready, we'll ask question before we close. No. Sir, I think we will close now. It's already 8:50. More than
from next time, any speaker should be given only 30 minutes time, so that all can participate.
Yes, absolutely. We'll take care of that, Mr. Malyadri. Thank you for your suggestion.
30 minutes time is enough to speak and tell something if one is prepared. So each other person will have at least minimum 5 minutes time.
Agreed, sir. Agreed, sir. AAP, sir, you are muted, sir. Sir, AAP, sir, you are muted.
No, I fully agree with my brother. If you can't say something in 30 minutes, it's not worth saying. I agree with him. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We will close with a brief thanking session. Firstly, we thank our Bhagwan for wonderfully creating this platform for all of us to use today on this Sai Neethi platform. Thanks to our All India President for inaugurating this session. And as many of you had wanted, this will probably be a once in a month session to start with. We will see if the frequency needs to be changed in course of time. Once again, thanking our zonal president, Professor Mukundan.
Sir, once in 15 days, sir. Not once in a month.
We'll discuss that. Malyadri, sir, we'll certainly discuss that.
If you keep once in a month, we'll forget. We are all very busy.
We'll discuss that, sir. There are a few busy professional lawyers as well. So we need to consider the time availability of all the...
No, keep the time only 1 hour. That's enough.
We'll look at it, sir. We'll look at it, sir. Certainly, we'll look at it. Thanks to our All India President and also our Zonal President for initiating this wonderful session. And we will meet more often, as many of you have requested. And I'm sure I'm hearing our All India President on the legal side for the first time. I'm very happy, sir, for your wonderful words, and also for all the young lawyers and other senior lawyers who are here on how to balance between spiritualism and being professional at the same time. I'm very happy for that, sir. And I'm sure many of you will be very happy to listen to the All India President and also take lessons for how you handle your cases. Thank you very much. We'll close and begin again very soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Chandrasekhar. Thank you.
Oh, Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Thank you.
Jai Bolo Sathya Sai Baba Ji ki
Sairam.
jai.
Thank you.
Shri Sai Ram.
Sairam.
Sai Ram.
Sairam.